I like to tell a story. The story is about a man, a woman, and their child. The man is a stonemason, and he works every day of his life milling out stones, shaping them, sanding them down, making sure they're fit for use. He spends every day of his life, almost, just tending to his work. His wife has her own thing. She likes to weave. The things she makes are fantastic. People come over from all over the county to see her wares, just as they do call on a man for his services, because he's renowned, because he takes so much care over his work. And this being so, their child, it can be a boy or a girl, they have a good life. It's not extravagant, it's not luxurious, but they're happy. It's a good life. Isn't it, little Granny? Yes. Now, the mayor of the little village, township that this family lives in, he doesn't like to, he's never had to work a day in his life. He was born into privilege. His dad was very high up in the community before him. And he's never known any different. And when he looks at the people who toil and work for him well, not work for him, but they work on his land, and he becomes jealous that the man, but this mayor cannot be happy, because he always wants more, because for him there is always more to get. And because this family is happy without needing all of these things that the mayor consistently wants, the mayor will call for things from the cities just so he can make his little township seem more important. So he can seem more important, and he gets jealous of this little family because they can be happy with what they've got, and he knows it can never happen. But his response to that is to make their lives more difficult. After a while, the man, the mayor gets some ideas. He decides he's going to make working on stone something he can tax. He's going to demand, he thinks to himself he's going to demand that the stonemason and others like him are, give a majority of their proceeds to him, so he can reinvest it in the township. The man, he realizes after a while that he's beginning not to love or care for the work he spent his life doing. He begins to spend more time down at the pub. Each night he comes back drunk. The woman, well, the mayor, because of his value of being self-important, he brought in foreign. He bought, weavers from other towns, from cities, in, and the woman, she could not compete, despite how good her product was. Because she could not make it in large amounts, she was priced out. She isn't able to go down the pub. She's got the child to look after. But that in of itself makes her bitter. And she becomes bitter to the child. That child grows up once knowing what it was like to live in a carefree world, only to have it crash down on him because of someone else's greed. That boy, he grows up, and his father, after losing his business, barely saw him ever again. Pick up whatever situation you like. Guy died, walked off, whatever. The mum just became despondent. Turned to drugs, stronger alcohols, whatever. And the boy, he grows up and he sees the poverty that's laid in around him as well. His family wasn't the only one affected. The boy thinks to himself, the boy who is now a man, he looks around at the state that this little township has become, and then he looks at the mayor sitting atop all of this with all of his little riches, a miserable little toad with a miserable little grin on his face. And the man thinks, why does this happen to us? Why is he getting all the benefits and still wanting more when we get nothing? He took everything we had away from us, and when we want, and when we work, we still don't get anything. So the young man and others like him they go to the mayor and they shout outside his building that they want their lives back. And the mayor doesn't care. And all of the business owners who moved into his little township to make him richer, they don't care. They're sitting there in there with him. The young man and his ilk, they become angry. The people around him say, why are you getting so angry? Well, have you seen what's going on? This man has ruined our lives. Well, we'll wait till the next election, we'll get rid of him. Alright. The next year, the next election comes round, and the mayor, who's, managed to stay in power for a while, he goes up for re-election. And the people who, as I said, they were all willing to throw him out of office. The mayor then makes a bunch of promises. He says, look at all the money that was brought in. I'm now going to spread it out. I promise this. Look, I've got the money here. I can spread it out. And he gives up a kind of handouts to try, and the people believe him. Oh yeah, I can promise I'll get this done. We'll invest. We'll make your lives better. We'll promise. This coming from the mayor, who ruined their lives in the first place. The young man sees this, and he goes, well, this is a fallacy. This is a lie. But everyone around him goes, well, he's the one with all the money. Why should we listen to you? And the young man says, because I remember what it was like before this man had all of our money. Our lives were all great. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't luxurious, but it was great. We were happy. Everyone except this little man, because he didn't have enough money. Now he's got all of our money, and look at him. He still wants more. But he's promising you that he's going to give you your money back. And the people go, no. We don't believe you. He'll promise, look at him. He looks like he's one of us. The young man just shakes his head and walks off, knowing he's not going to be listened to. So the mayor wins the election, because the people believed the man who lied and swindled the people out of their money. They still believed him when he said he was going to give all the money back and spread it around, because he'd gathered all the money up together. And because he doled a little bit of money out beforehand. And because he looked like, and he looked like one of the people. He walked up and shook your hand and said hello, like one of the people. The election comes and, he wins it. And within a month, 2 months, the people start asking, where's this money? a shock hits, an economic shock hits. It could be a pandemic, it could be a recession, whatever. And the people go, we need help. And the mayor goes, I can't help you, sorry. What are you talking about? You said you promised to spread the wealth around. Oh, sorry, we can help. We can only help a certain amount of people out. Okay, so who are you going to help out? Oh, we're going to help out the poorest people. Well, how are you going to do that? Well, we're going to do it through taxes and tax cuts. Right? Yeah. Okay. We're going to make sure the biggest businesses are sponged. Wait, what? What about small businesses? Oh, that's all right. The big businesses will cushion the brunt of it so that the small businesses won't take anything. And the young man's there like, but that doesn't make any sense. What you've just said is backwards. No, it isn't. We're the ones who are economically literate. We know what we're talking about. We promised. And the young man shakes his head and he looks around and he goes, can you not see what they're doing? And the people go, no, look, he promised. A month later, another month or two goes by. A swimming pool isn't built, taken down, rebuilt. A broken down swimming pool isn't, taken down, rebuilt, proper revamped. No, it's just, I had a bit of work done on it. Summer comes around, and the people are like, well, he's done some things. But it's all a distraction because they're all still noticing that their bills are getting higher, and food's becoming more expensive. Their work hours are getting longer for less pay. Six months goes by, and things get very desperate now, and people are really starting to realise what's going on. And the young man and his ilk are going, will you listen to us now? Can we please have someone else who knows what they're doing? The mayor's party is the party in power. So the mayor turns around and says, well, we're not having an election now, because the mayor knows he's not going to get away with it. The man says to the people surrounding him, why are we putting up with this man? The people start kicking off. The councillors and the businessmen, they all fall out with the mayor and they get rid of him. However, they replace him with another one of their own. This person, this new mayor, says all the right things, all the same things. And the people go, okay, we'll give this person a chance. And the young man and his ilk are still saying, why can't we have somebody different? That little tale is reminiscent of what we got going on here. And the young man isn't me. The young man is representative of those who can see what is going on. Yeah, the moral here is people need to stop believing liars. isn't it? People need to stop believing in liars. Boris Johnson, we already knew he was a liar, and yet people trusted him. Liz Truss has been proven to be a liar. I don't know what the country necessarily thinks of her, but she seems to have a better reception than Keir Starmer so far. Which is just stupid. The average person doesn't like to be called stupid, even if they're being stupid. More often than not, they will defend their point rather than accept that they're wrong and that they've been stupid. It's true. I know, because I fell into that trap quite often myself growing up. I bet most of us have. However, it's a case of learning from that. And it's like, it's almost like from a societal standpoint, we can't seem to learn our lesson. The amount of people that still believe these liars, it's absolutely ridiculous. And not only that, they are consistently trying to defend these people. The story of the little family, that's very common across this country, and not just this country, but probably in America and elsewhere. But for our use here, it's fairly common in this country. That little story, as a metaphor, is quite common as a description for many people across the country. Yes, some of the details might change, but the core parts of the story, it's pretty much the same all the way around. And from a pagan perspective, a modern pagan who's been pushed down as it is, and it's, pretty well excluded by the rest of society for supposed oddness. Watching the rest of the society get picked on by the establishment, because they were, and it's not. It's on a much more deep scale, because we're having all our money robbed off us. Our lives are being made worse at the expense of people who don't know what enough money is. And yet there's this fallacy that apparently these are the people we should trust. Where is the evidence for that? Where is the evidence that it's the rich people we ought to trust? Now, I think there should be if we're going to have representative democracy, there should be a balance of people in power. I do, however, see that can be very idealistic. So, my compromise on that is that we, whether you're pagans, whether you're socialists, grassroots socialists, whether you're someone who's just had the fuck enough of the bullshit coming from the Tory party, if you see a movement, a political movement, that is partial to you, that is against this fucking government, do it. If you want to become member of the Lib Dems or the Green Party or the Labour Party, or if you're Scottish, the SNPs, or if you're Welsh, apply Cymru. Plaid Cymru. Vote for them. Don't vote for fucking Tories. Now, I do wonder if there is a mechanism for MPs, for the public to, for the constituents to recall their MPs off of their own accord. I don't think there is, but I think that's necessary. Whatever happens, we need to finagle a snap election. It's just every day that goes by, this shit gets more scary. Because the people in charge don't care. I'm not saying that Keir Starmer is the most caring person in the world, but I'm pretty damn sure he'd do a downside better than any of the Tories over the last 12 years. I am actually sure of that. And I don't like to be so absolutist, but at this point, really, look who's about to take power. Another tale. A young girl, she's about 13, 14. She's spent, all day at school with her friends. Her parents have let her stay overnight at her friends. But because of circumstances the next day, the young girl has to make her way home on her own. Not too far away, it's only a few streets away. But the policeman who was hanging on the corner turns out to be not a nice policeman. He stops this girl and he asks her what she's doing out. Says, "This late afternoon, officer, I'm just walking back home from my friends." And the officer goes, "Oh, this is quite dangerous on this area. Do you want a lift home? Would you care for a lift?" Now the young girl is a bit wary, but she sees it's a police officer. So she thinks, okay, that's fine. The police officer then directs her to the front passenger seat. Now she's always seen people being put into the back seat, even victims, when she's watched stuff on TV and whatnot. So she's finding this is a little bit odd, being allowed to sit in the front of the police car. Fair enough. The policeman gets back in and they start driving off. Now the girl knows that she's only a few streets away from her home, so it's not that far for the policeman to drop her off. But when the young girl notices that the policeman drives right past her road, she asks him where they going. She says, "Oh, we need to go around. It's a one-way street." Okay. Well, that young girl is never seen again. And when an investigation is done into this, and the young girl is found, and they find out it was a police officer that did this crime. The police initially tried to cover it up. Wait, what? Oh no, they just didn't want people to panic. That's fine. Okay. And then a visual is set up by women because of this young girl being hunted down at night. Under the rules by the government, this vigil is stormed by the police and is ruined by the police. This girl, whose life had been snuffed out by a member of the police, has a vigil held for her, and the police basically disrespect it, despite being so disgusted at the actions of one of their own people. The officer is sent down, and a few months down the line, it is discovered that fellow officers had been, let's say, taking pictures and having inappropriate conversations about the young girl and other victims like her. And this turns out to be a fairly large group of largely male police officers. What happens? Oh, there's a massive investigation and some are kicked out, I suppose. But then they are entrusted, these people, to investigate potential wrongdoings in Westminster, which aren't nearly as bad, despite the fact they've got a serial groper running around in Westminster. Where does this land the police? It lands them in a very big mess. Where does it put our trust? Both of these tales, what it's about is trust in not all of the establishment, but the bits of the establishment we ought to be able to trust. And we can't. The first story, stonemason and his family. it's reminiscent of, you know, many families who, you know, had great life under Labour, under the last Labour government, built up business, it was all going great. Yes, the financial crash happened, but the economic footprint afterwards was not half bad. And then lies were put in place, and people believed the lies. The Tories came in with their lies, and because they sounded so convincing, and they had a smarmy dickhead to, you know, oil the words out, people went along with it. I don't know what was going on with Theresa May. But again, she won. She won an election. Boris Johnson should not have won. Liz Truss should not be in place right now to become leader of the Tory party and Prime Minister. That shouldn't be a thing, but it is. Why? Because people believed the liars, knowing they were liars. I know I'll go around in circles here, but it's everyone else that's also going around in fucking circles. Because it's, oh, we're going to believe him, we're going to believe them, we're going to believe them, despite the fact that every single time the Tories have come in, life has not gotten better. For some people it might have gotten better under Thatcher, but not on the majority part. Why can't the people wake up? 12 years of Tory rule, and the standards of life have just gone down. The evidence is there. It's not a biased thing to say, unfortunately. And it's really painful, and it hurts to know that people are still going to be out there proponing their bullshit, because it hurts all of us. Their policies haven't helped us, none of them. The furlough scheme, yes, it helped, but it didn't go far enough. Not only that, but the way Sunak handled it was, let's just put it, controversial at best. Liz Truss, someone who is likely to make consistent U-turns because she's one to make promises and that she can't keep, just like Boris Johnson, except Boris was a bit more smooth at doing it. The man and his wife suffered in my story because the mayor wanted more money, because he knew he couldn't be happy, he couldn't make himself happy, or he felt like he couldn't be happy with enough. And it's that kind of person that seems to constantly make it into power, because the other types of people don't want to do it, or don't feel like they can be bothered. Perhaps it's time for a major fucking change on that front. And as I said, the young man, that's very analogous to many people that live across this fair island. Maybe it'll get to so shit a point that people will genuinely just say, no, alright, yeah, we can see what's going on. Finally, we can see what's going on. Hopefully. All we can do is hope that that happens. It's been a bit of a rambly one, and I know the stories weren't straightforward as I had them in my head, but I hope people get the gist. The old man and his wife didn't have to fall into ruin. The young man didn't have to grow up angry. Just saying. Haring Gokval? Sorry, it's not that anymore. Haring Gomorn. Blessed Thursday. This has been Shadowita and a bit of Dark Wisdom. Tork Vista. Vista? Viska. Yeah. Blessed Thursday.